I am bisexual, which basically means I like men and I like women. Last time I made a video about being a bisexual man and it got 30,000 views. So this time I'm gonna be talking about my top 10 favorite bisexual appearances in video games. Number 10, The Legend of Korra. The series follows Avatar Korra, the successor and reincarnation of Aang from the previous series, as she faces political and spiritual unrest in a modernizing world. The reason she's first is because while the game is called The Legend of Korra, there isn't any bisexual appearances directly in the game. The game was also later removed everywhere online in December 2017, 3 years after its release for licensing reasons. However, Korra is canonically bisexual in the show. I felt it was appropriate to add, but just place it at number 10 because there's no direct bisexual representation in the game. So on to 9, Overwatch. Again, like The Legend of Korra, there's not any direct bisexual mechanics in the game, but the difference is Overwatch doesn't really have a show. Overwatch is practically just a game that also has lore. Baptiste is the only confirmed bisexual character, but there is a lot of LGBTQ representation throughout the game. There's this comic on Overwatch's official website called As You Are, and I haven't read it yet. Oh, it's not a comic, it's words. But basically they don't say anything directly in this. I just kind of skimmed through it, but they do have these literal colors right here. They have the like bisexual flag colors right here, so you know, I could believe it. I've also been asking ChatGPT pretty much every time, just as well as my general research, and for Overwatch they incorrectly guessed 2, and they didn't even get the other one that I actually found, so I guess there's not that much. I thought there was a little bit more, but again, that's why Overwatch is at 9. So let's move on to 8, Danganronpa. I originally thought there was only one bisexual character in this game. After asking ChatGPT, apparently there's actually a lot of characters that could be seen to be bisexual, except there isn't any like explicit, they don't directly tell you that in the game. I'm pretty sure. But there is one that they directly tell you in the game. So let me go through these. Yasuhiro Hagakure. While not the main focus, Yasuhiro's flirtations with both male and female characters and his generally open attitude toward relationships imply that he might be more fluid in terms of sexual orientation. Again, this is a more open reading rather than a confirmed aspect of his character. Toko Fukawa and Genocide Jack, which is I think the same person. Toko's alter ego, Genocide Jack, has a distinct personality and she expresses an interest in both male and female characters, particularly in her obsession with Byakuya Tagami. Although her main romantic interest is more towards Byakuya, Genocide Jack's behavior suggests some fluidity in sexual attraction. And Maki Harukawa. In Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony, Maki is a character whose sexual orientation is not explicitly defined, but she has romantic interests with both male and female characters. In particular, her relationship with both Kaido Momoda and Kibo. So here's Kaido Momoda, here's Kibo, can be interpreted as suggestive of bisexuality, and she is one of the more prominent characters where this is implied. So I think there could be more. I'm not sure if there's any more than that in the game. I'm pretty sure there is more than that, but I don't think they're canon. But the one that is canon is Teru Hanamura, and I'm pretty sure this guy's a really big freak, which is weird if he's the only one that is confirmed. I'm not sure if he is or not, but it's a little weird if they make the representation like this negative. It's Teru is very lewd and usually can be seen hitting on anyone near him, male and female alike. So, you know, that's the confirmed bisexuality. There is male and female that he hits on in the game. I don't think the other ones directly hit on in the game, but he does directly hit on them. And I think that he is not very chill with it. But I'm pretty sure that's all the representation in Danganronpa, which is why I put that at number 8. Number 7, Borderlands. So in Borderlands, there are 3 prominent bisexual characters that I found. 2 I found from ChatGPT and 1 I found by myself. The ones that I found from ChatGPT is Ellie and Tyrene Calypso. So Ellie is a mechanic and a supporting character in both games. This is what Ellie looks like. So I think she works on your car in the games. But in Borderlands 3, she explicitly states that she has had relationships with both men and women, confirming her bisexuality. And Tyrene Calypso, who looks like this, she's in Borderlands 3. One of the main antagonists in Borderlands 3 is portrayed as potentially being attracted to both men and women. So I guess that one's not confirmed. But I didn't really find those characters incredibly interesting. The character that I found that I was really interested in is Mad Moxie. Now, I think Mad Moxie is without a doubt a baddie. So basically in the games, Moxie runs her own bar, but what makes it interesting is if you actually have conversations with her in the different games, you can find kind of hints that leads you towards figuring out that she's bisexual. In Borderlands 2, Moxie hints at having a history of romantic and sexual relationships with various characters, including both men and women. In Borderlands 3, she flirts with both male and female characters, further supporting her bisexuality and her relationships with characters like Marcus Kincaid, but there are some moments where she shows attraction to other female characters, further suggesting her fluid sexual orientation. So again, even though you can figure out from the game that she's bisexual if you listen to it, there's not really a ton of representation there. There is representation in the other characters as well though, and I feel like it's a little bit less of an evil vibe than Danganronpa, which is also why I put it above it. But at the end of the day, we're not really into the games yet where there's that much representation, so that's kind of just how it is. That's just how it has to be for now. So now on to number 6, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. But basically in this game, there's a character called Vamp, but his name literally is showing his attraction to both genders because he's like a vampire. His name Vamp and his ambiguous sexual identity are highlighted throughout the game, with him showing attraction to both men, such as his closeness with the character Raiden, and women through his interactions with Fortune. In the character I just mentioned, Raiden, the protagonist of Metal Gear Solid 2, is often interpreted as having a fluid or ambiguous sexuality, especially in relation to his interactions with both Rosemary, his girlfriend, and Vamp. However, Raiden's sexuality is not explicitly stated in the game. Now, these next games are where it starts to get pretty interesting. Number 5 is going to be GTA. There is a lot more bisexual representation in this game than I realized. There's not that much, but when I was thinking about GTA, I was thinking about a pretty, like, you know, conservative regulatory, I don't know, it's just violent, so I just kind of associated, like, I guess those beliefs onto it. If you don't know, one of the main characters, Trevor, is bisexual, which is pretty crazy because I didn't know that. Lester is also bisexual, but you could probably figure that one out. And Floyd Hebert is bisexual, which is I think a really small character, but he interacts with Trevor at some point. This Redditor says that Trevor is an opportunity sexual, and this is something that a lot of people are saying. Several answers state that there is no evidence he's gay, but if you do the hangout sessions with Michael and Franklin, he offers to have with them after drinking. He positively leers at the yoga instructor, looking him up and down, and in the character cutscenes, he sometimes chases a frat boy, saying, "Sorry, I showed you my thingy. We don't need to kiss and make up, but I do need to kiss." And let's not get into how he treats Floyd, who I mentioned earlier, when they wake up spooning in a room full of lube. So, you know, that's just one Reddit post. And also, another character that I thought was pretty interesting, I'm not sure if she's bisexual or not, but Rennie Wasselmeyer in GTA Vice City Stories and GTA Liberty City Stories is a really interesting character. I found this one when I looked up on Google, because throughout this, to be figuring this out, right, I've asked ChatGPT, I've asked Google, I've asked Reddit. Those are probably the main 3 that I've researched for this video, and I found this through Google, which I feel like is less reliable, but it is interesting.
Whatever you say, mister, lady,
Oh, darling, I'm a little bit of everything. I'm universal. Rainy Wasselmeyer. But you, Angel, you're unique. Can I film you undressing?
No, Rennie, we've got a problem.
Not now, darling. I'm flirting.
I just thought that would be interesting to show while I was going over GTA. So anyways, now on to number 4, Fire Emblem, 3 Houses. Now, I've never, honestly, in my entire life looked into Fire Emblem. I've heard very, very slight things about them, and so kind of I just consider that it's a cool game, but I really never think about this game. So I'm trying to do some research right now. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of bisexual characters in this game. I think there's like a lot. Let me show you guys what I'm looking at. So I found this image, which has like 5 bisexual people on it. And when I asked ChatGPT, I got a lot of answers. I got like 6 answers. So immediately, that's why this game is ranked higher than the rest of them. But also, when I was doing research into this video, I couldn't really find any negative bisexual representation, which I feel like is really common, because it's really easy to paint that picture of like, oh, I'll fuck anything that moves, you know, kind of thing. Like, that's gross. But I feel like those go really hand in hand, which is why, like, you know, Trevor GTA is like 5, because like, yeah, it's cool that's representation, but also like, I'd rather have more representation that's just like a chill guy, you know, more of a chill guy and less of like Trevor from GTA. Oh wow, yeah, so there's more bisexual characters than straight or gay. Maybe I need to play this game. This is kind of fire though. This might be my game. Maybe I should make a video on just this game, bro. What is this?
It seems like our long struggle may finally be coming to an end. Nothing will stop me from coming back. There's no way I'm gonna let you go. You know that, don't you?
No.
Thank you for everything.
Is this canon? Is this canon? Bro. Dude, I might gotta play this game, bro. I might need to play this game. All right, anyway, moving on to game number 3, Stardew Valley. The reason I'm putting this game at number 3 is because for Fire Emblem, even though that is like so bisexual, that's such a bisexual game, Stardew Valley is literally built bisexually. I don't think it's an option to be straight or gay in the game. I'm pretty sure that you have to be bisexual.
You see, everyone in Stardew Valley is bi. I can romance all the bachelors and bachelorettes in the village regardless of what gender I play as, which also makes the player character bisexual by default.
Okay, so the player character, the farmer, can pursue relationships with both male and female villagers, allowing for a bisexual experience. So Sam, the character, is a bachelor in the game who can be romanced by both male and female players. Abigail, Harvey, Sebastian, Penny, Maru. They're more just player sexual. They're farmer sexual. Gender doesn't matter to them so long you're a farmer. I don't know that they're canonically bisexual necessarily, but in the game it's just set up to fit whatever the player plays as long as they interact with the game world. After all, some of the characters do say something like, I've never liked another same gender before you, which depending on how a person identifies could mean they were bi all along, or they're not generally attracted to their own gender, but something about you, the player, personally inflamed a romantic interest that ran deeper than your genitals. So yeah, I feel like personally when you don't even have to say in your game that it's bisexual and everyone kind of gets that, I feel like that's pretty good representation because it's just like built in. I'm not saying that's how games have to be, but you know, I enjoy it. But anyways, that's why I put it at number 3, and moving on to number 2. Now, if you thought about any game on this list, this is probably the one that you could guess the most. If you think about like a bisexual video game, and especially if you're not bisexual, this is probably what you would know of. So part of the reason I like this game so much is because you can date 3 main people as Zagreus in the game. So this is Zagreus, and you can date Thanatos, Megara, and Dusa. So this is Thanatos, this is Megara, and this is Dusa. So Thanatos, I'm pretty sure, identifies as a man and doesn't have a gender. It's kind of either one. Megara is a female, and Dusa, I think, also doesn't have a gender. That's why I like it, because the 3 options, it's basically man, woman, and genderless. So I feel like it's a very direct kind of representation for bisexuality. I guess maybe you could argue that's more like pansexuality, but I don't know. I just feel like regardless, the representation there is pretty awesome. And also how it's not really specified in the game. That's kind of just like a maybe more direct version, like literal version of it. But they don't really tell you in the game what gender they are. It's more just like, it's kind of like Stardew Valley in the way that you're really just playing it and dating who you want to date, and you're not really concerned about like gender or anything. You're kind of just doing what you want. I think you can also pursue other characters in the game too. There's other male and female characters you can pursue. But in a summary, Hades includes bisexual representation through the player character who can romance both male and female characters. So finally, on to number 1. My personal favorite bisexually representing game, Life is Strange. Most of the reason I like this game so much is because they have bisexual representation in pretty much every single game, and the games themselves are also absolute bangers. I've only played the very first one, but I've seen a lot of content of the other games, and they're so fire. They also have a game that's pretty much entirely about bisexuality, which is crazy, because in the first couple of games, the characters just are bisexual, the main characters, they just happen to be. But I'm pretty sure this entire game is about her exploring her bisexuality. But anyways, from Life is Strange 1, there's Max Caulfield, which is the main character you play as, Chloe Price, Rachel Amber, Steve Gingrich, Frank Bowers, Warren Graham. There's a lot of bisexual characters in the game. But if I was to compare this game to the other games, like why would this game be any better than Hades or something? And it's because of the realism. What Life is Strange is essentially you're playing as this girl going through high school, at least in the first one. She's at like some special school where they're all 18. It's like the final grade or something. It's like an isolated 12th grade. It might be a college or something, but she's there, and throughout the game you make decisions that pivot your game into very specific directions, and you make those decisions. In the first game there's only 2 endings. In the second game there's like 8 endings, and I think in the newer games there's maybe even more. But that's why it's cool to me, is because you can get your own ending, ends up whoever you want to end up with, and what it puts you through is very realistic situations. It's a very realistic game, and so especially for just people that maybe aren't bisexual or maybe aren't in the LGBTQ community, I think this does an incredible job at like showing how that can be through an entertaining form. And it also won Game of the Year one year, I think. But this game is just absolutely amazing. On Steam, you can see it's rated overwhelmingly positive, and it has 167,000 reviews. So it's such a good game. And so those were my top 10 favorite games with bisexual representation in them. I hope you either found a new game that you enjoyed, or you realized something about a currently existing game. I'm a newer YouTuber, and if you like that video, feel free to check out my YouTube channel. I make videos really often, so please subscribe if you enjoyed that video. And bye bye.